and welcome to the April edition of the Wisconsin News Photographer meeting, a Zoom meeting. We've got a few people today who are a little bit off because we're meeting at a different time. So if you tried to join us at noon, which a couple people apparently tried, that's why you didn't get in, is because we switched it to 2 o'clock, and I did send out an email, hopefully to everybody, ironically, except our guest speaker today. He did not get the email. So he texted me this morning and said, yeah, just kind of trying to wonder what was going on. And I was like, oh, forgot to, I notified everybody except him, which is kind of the important person here. But joining us today is Sam Lee. Sam is currently in Madison, photographer from Appleton, Wisconsin. Some of you may have heard of Appleton. And Sam is a photographer, videographer, and director, and done some very creative things. A lot of it's been in Madison, but now he's branching out in some different areas. And we've heard his name brought up a few times in our group. And he was nice enough to agree to spend a few minutes with us and show us some of his things that he's working on, and some of the stuff he's done in the past, tell some stories. So welcome, Sam. Why don't you just start out and give us a little background of your history, how you got into photography, and how you got into doing what you're doing.
Yeah, thanks for having me. So yeah, I picked up a camera. I guess I'm relatively probably new to this compared to some of you all, but I started in 2015 when I took a film class at UW when I was a student there. And it kind of just really sparked my interest in the whole side of film and photography. And so during that semester, I bought a camera and I just started taking photo and video around Madison. And that's kind of how I started my career. And, it launched, that's what started as just a hobby. And now in 2022, it's my full-time job, and it's really cool. Yeah. It's,
nice.
It all started just from an interest in a film class. So, yeah.
Wow. So you've been doing, so that's how many years?
So seven years. Yeah.
7 years. Okay. That's pretty fast rise to the to where you're at now, I think. It's really cool that you were able to do that and get some marketing in there and get the word passed around on social media, and gotten to where you're at.
Were you at Epic before?
Yeah. So I worked at Epic for about a year and a half after college, and then I quit in October of 2019. So I took the safe route, I guess. I was like, I don't think I'll make enough money to survive as a creative. So I decided to take the traditional route and get a normal job for a little bit and just save up.
Nice.
And then quit that normal job right before the pandemic. So,
Perfect time.
That can never be too safe.
Why don't you want to tell us a little bit about the equipment you're using?
Yeah, so I shoot all on Sony when it comes to cameras. So on the photo side of things, I have the Sony a7 IV. Shot on the a7 III before that. Before that, it was like the a6500. And then for video, I primarily use a Sony FX6, which is a cinema camera. And then the Sony a7S III. And then as far as drones, I just have a small DJI Mavic 3 right now, but have used an assortment of drones, all DJI. So yeah, it's been really fun to do that. Happy to share some of my photography. I think you need to share screen sharing with me.
Yep. I'll make you the host.
Have you lost any drones?
Well, you got muted again there.
Now you're
back.
My dog was barking. I'm gonna close the door real quick.
Oh, sure. Not the first time that's happened.
I have definitely lost drones. It's funny enough, I've lost most of my drones as I've gotten more experienced, because I think I'm putting myself in riskier and riskier situations. But yeah, it's been I've lost at this point maybe I think 2 drones, one to a building and one to a tree. So
yeah,
that's not bad.
I lost one to a tree, not to a building yet, though.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, I'm working up to it.
Yeah. One day you'll be good enough to fly into a building. So yeah, I wanted to start. I mean, with today, wanted to share some of my photography, which is really how, I mean, Steve, you kind of alluded to this. I've been in this for 7 years, and now I've been able to make it a full-time job. And in large part, it's because of the power of social media and being able to leverage my following on there to kind of, get clients to come to me and come to me for photo and video work. So photography is the start, but really now in 2022 and moving forward, like video has been the main driver in what I'm trying to now be known for. I think whenever people kind of see me as a creative, a lot of people see me as a photographer first, and I want to kind of flip that around. So I want to show both today. But as far as photography, yeah, I mean, I love landscape photography, and that's kind of my bread and butter. And looking at this, and everyone can see my screen, right? Just to make sure.
Yes.
Yep.
I think this is a really good glimpse at the type of work that I do. It's a mixture of drone and regular camera work, but I really love shooting at golden hour and getting those vibrant colors. But then also I've dabbled in astrophotography and shooting, a couple different ways, and traveling around the Midwest, mainly Wisconsin, Minnesota, some of Illinois, to try to capture different things just throughout the Midwest. And someone's dog is barking. I'm not sure.
I'm trying to find my controls so I can mute myself, but not sure where
That's
they
why
went. mine's
mine's muted. I've got the same thing going on here.
My
Yeah, I
dog just
can't-
walked into my office, so there must be a something going around.
Yeah. I guess my dog started it all. I'm sorry.
We'll blame Sam.
But yeah, I think this is a really good glimpse into it. But diving a little bit deeper, I guess right away I was known for my drone photography. So in around like 2018 was really when I started to take a lot more drone photography. And I think at that time it was still pretty fresh. I think people didn't really see drones too much yet. And so when I started taking photos of Madison, that really, really caught people's attention. And that's really how I started growing a lot on social media. I traveled to Chicago to take pictures. I traveled to Milwaukee to take pictures. And really just at that time in 2018, 2019, I was just sending my drone up and getting these sweeping landscapes. And one thing, like, I know I'm chatting right now, but feel free to ask any questions. Like, happy to answer anything about any of the work that I have up here.
I was just going to say that, drone technology, it's really a game changer. When I initially was shooting news, that was back in the helicopter days. And, you could get up and get some good pictures or in video, even live shots from a helicopter, but it was very costly. And the other thing too is, with the advent of drones, you can just get up high, you can get up all these different angles, great angles that you have here. But for the people in Madison, and I'm trying to remember the photographer's name, which is kind of a step between the helicopter and the drone. The photographer that used to use kites, you remember that at all? The kite photography. He would,
He would go out on the lake, right? A lot, take pictures, or he did
And
some
he-
pictures around the Capitol too.
Oh,
yeah,
that's super
Craig
interesting.
Wilson was his name.
yeah.
was it?
He would
Craig
attach,
Wilson.
Okay.
he would attach a camera. He would put a kite up in the air and then somehow get the camera to go up there and remotely take pictures. I thought that was very innovative, but
And that was film, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
from what I remember, but great shots there. But anyway, I was just going to say the whole drone thing is the game changer.
Yeah, I think that's like a large part. Like I talk about social media. I think before the gear that you needed to have prohibited a lot of people from being able to capture, this kind of work. And drones at this time were just like becoming immensely popular. And I think I was just super lucky to be on kind of the forefront when it came
Sure.
to Wisconsin and using them. But that I'll have to do a deep dive into some of that kite photography. That sounds incredibly interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, luckily I didn't have to use kites. I could just fly around.
Yeah.
Much easier. Also, I didn't have to use film, which is just sounds
Yeah.
like even bigger pain in the ass. But I've never shot film before, so
Oh, wow.
something that I'll probably never have to struggle through. But something I am interested in now, shooting more film photography, trying that out.
Another advantage for you is you spend a lot of time outdoors and you're equipped, with being out in all kinds of conditions from what I remember for the first work I ever saw, even, and obviously we're seeing it now too. So to be, skilled outdoors in all conditions and then be able to add this to your work is fabulous. So
yeah, and I think that perfectly ties in with what I wanted to go with. In 2018, 2019, I was still trying to figure out where I kind of wanted to fit into the photo ecosystem. I think there's obviously a lot of different avenues creatives can go. And my big thing was, I think, mainly fueled again off social media because I was so attached to it, was this idea of traveling the world and being able to capture different places and people and do a lot of travel photography. And so in 2019, 2018, I was really just trying to do that. The left side you see is Morocco and the right hand side is Iceland. And that's what I thought I wanted to do at the time. So I was kind of doing that traveling with friends who also had those same goals and just trying to carve out our own space in the world.
great shots.
Yeah, those are both great.
Amazing.
So going back, now I'm back to the Midwest. I think, again, we talked about how I used to work at Epic and I quit in October of 2019. And coming off of working at Epic in 2019, I was like, oh, now I have some money saved up. I think I have the skill set to really take this full time. And again, the goal was like, I want to be a travel videographer and photographer. I would love to work from tourism boards all across the world. And then obviously the pandemic in March of 2020 kind of stopped that in the tracks. And all the clients I did have, they were dropping out, obviously with the pandemic being such a question mark. And so what I really decided to do at that time was just double down on capturing the areas around me. And so almost every day in the beginning of the pandemic, I was going out that summer. I was driving to Milwaukee, or I was driving to other places and around Madison, around Wisconsin, and just trying to capture different moments. So because I was going out so many different sunsets and sunrises, I was able to capture some really cool things, like the rainbow coming out of the statue's hand on top of the Wisconsin Capitol. And I have a ton of work like this where, I went through a huge phase that whole, I would say, the first year of the pandemic, where I was really just focused on trying to capture these landscape photos, mainly because I just couldn't interact with people that much and I couldn't really travel. So it just really focused on the state of Wisconsin. One thing, I know I'm talking to photojournalists, so I did want to share some of these photos, but I mean, again, talking about me capturing just what was around me because of the pandemic, I remember the biggest moment was obviously after the murder of George Floyd, all the stuff that happened in cities across America, across the world. And that was a huge moment, I think, where I saw Madison kind of erupt in this kind of crazy chaos, I guess. And so I just wanted to share some of the photography from that moment. Again, I was just focused on capturing this city. And, I've been here for 6 years at the time. So I'd come to know and love the city, and just seeing how it's changed through COVID and then this. And it was really interesting to see.
I have a few really elementary questions for you. I've never used a drone.
Yeah, sure.
So you have a monitor in the hand control?
Yeah.
And you tell it when to shoot. And is it hard to be aware of both the monitor, because you're trying to decide what you want to capture, but also keeping an eye on the beast so that it's flying where you want and not into a building and so on?
Or a tree.
Yeah, so you talk about drone controller. So this is what I use. So that's a screen.
Okay.
And I can control. So I can see, I can see what I'm doing, but also, you have to keep in mind what your cool. Your surroundings around you. So a big thing obviously is buildings. Don't fly into those. But also like huge thing is people and flying around people. So in like larger operations, especially when I'm flying for like a client in video, I'd typically have like a spotter with me. And so
Okay.
I'll be monitoring what I'm filming, but then I'll have a person like, they'll just let me know if there are any people coming on like a sidewalk or a street, or if I'm getting too close to a tree or a building. And that's an immense help. Obviously some of the mistakes that I've said that I've had where I've crashed my drones has been because I'm by myself and I'm trying to do both at the same time. It's like texting while driving. So obviously like it's still legal to do that, right? You can spot your own drone while you're flying. It's just something you got to be extra careful about.
Is the image capture done on memory cards on the drone itself or in the control system?
It's done on the drone itself, because what's transmitted to the controller is only like a 720p feed, while what's captured is like 4K.
Thank you.
And Sam, can you talk just real briefly about what you need to go through from the licensing standpoint for the drone to be able to fly commercially?
So I have a license. So I have my Part 107 license. It's basically like just taking like the written portion of like a driver's license exam. Pretty simple. Just need to know stuff like airspace, the rules of flying over people, cars, whatever it may be. And then anytime you fly close to an airport within 5 miles, you have to be requesting authorization through the FAA. Nowadays, it's as easy as plugging in information on your phone through an app, and you can get real-time authorization in the matter of seconds or minutes.
Nice.
For larger productions, if you're flying in like a big city like New York or LA or something like that, you need higher authorization. Sometimes you need to fill out a lot of paperwork and waivers, but in Madison, largely it's super easy, and most of Wisconsin is super easy. Milwaukee, for example, it's super easy.
For this defund police image, did you have to get special permission for the airspace for that?
No, the Capitol's pretty much like people often think the Capitol's like a no-go space, but as long as I know there's rules about flying actually on the Capitol lawn. You can't be operating a drone technically on the Capitol lawn, but anywhere around it is perfectly fine. You just request authorization and you can take off.
I think they try not, well, according to the Capitol Police, don't they say something about when there's an event going on, you're not supposed to fly, or, without it, there's like, you can issue a NOTAMs, but which is a thing through the FAA that basically just says nobody can fly in this area. But I thought there was some kind of an issue with like farmers market and things like that. Maybe they were just requesting that you don't fly.
Anytime there's a big event, there's definitely stuff like that. I think the biggest example is like sporting events. Like you cannot fly within, I don't know, like maybe like a mile or a couple mile radius of like Camp Randall when a Badger game's happening. So yeah, that's definitely like a big no-no, is to be flying close to big groups of people.
Wow.
So I shot this at sunrise actually, because I knew that was just like something on the top of mind. I didn't want any people around.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, good questions.
Wow. The demonstration, the State Street shot, that wasn't with the drone, was it?
No, this was just I went out with my camera because I had heard about what was happening on State Street and just kind of was observing from afar. And then I got up close and started taking pictures. And yeah, that was a crazy moment when they were like shooting tear gas into the crowd, and very bizarre moment. And the craziest thing I've ever seen in Madison, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely the most severe demonstrations I think we've ever had, when they're burning the cars on State Street as well. I mean,
yeah, exactly. I know, like that night I had heard a lot of stuff happening too. I felt like I didn't need to go out and shoot that necessarily, but yeah, it was wild just to hear what was happening.
Yeah, Madison overall though has got a history of things blowing up at times, protests and you name it over the years, starting with the Vietnam War. So yeah, you never know what's going to happen in Mad City.
Yeah, and I had talked to I remember that night I was walking around before, stuff like the burning car happened or they dragged the stuff down. And they were talking about how like the last time they saw something like this was like the Vietnam protests. And I thought that was really interesting. Wish I could see a lot more, footage and photos from that time, but yeah, it's crazy to hear about those kinds of moments in history.
Yeah, but they weren't shooting rubber bullets then. They do tear gas, but there was nothing like the rubber bullet stuff that they're doing, or whatever you want to call I can't remember what the correct name for those is that have maimed lots of people in the country.
Mm.
Yeah, pretty crazy stuff. Yeah, so I mean, and then going back to more pretty landscapes, I mean, my work, again, I'm mainly a landscape photographer, so just throughout the pandemic, I was just trying to find new ways to capture these places people called home, or people were familiar with. And these are not from a drone, don't worry, these are very illegal to shoot with the drone, but I actually flew up in a plane over Madison, over Milwaukee, over Door County, in different flights to just capture from a new perspective, because I hadn't seen a lot of work like that before. And so that was I was like, okay, I can fly only so high with the drone. What if I got even higher with the plane?
That's beautiful. Great light too.
Yeah, got really lucky. And then yeah, just continued like stuff I did throughout. These are taken in 2020 and 2021. Just of Devil's Lake on the left and Door County on the right. Again, just doing landscape photography.
Stunning.
And that kind of segues me, I guess, into the next little chapter of this presentation. Is so throughout this time, at the beginning of the pandemic, I think I had about maybe 8,000 followers on Instagram. And, as I was, as I really focused in on capturing the Midwest, and I was, unable to travel and doing all those things, I came to really, really, really like capturing the Midwest in this way. And I had grown from about 8,000 to now like 28,000. So it was a huge shift. Like I saw like a huge growth period, as well as people, I think, really latched on and appreciated to what I was capturing. But again, these people were mainly seeing me as a photographer. And throughout this whole time, my main source of income was corporate and commercial video production. I was running my own video production company and shooting stuff for like UW and American Family Insurance and a bunch of other small and medium-sized businesses in Wisconsin. And so I really wanted to shift how people were talking about my work in terms of photography. I wanted that same kind of appreciation for my work in video, but I felt like I hadn't been putting in the time to really do it, because I was mainly focusing on photography for so long. And so that's where I really wanted to pivot to in kind of like early 2020, 2021. That was kind of my goal. And so that kind of brings me to the topic of my first project that I did right after the first wave of the pandemic subsided. In that spring, I was like, if I ever get a chance to interact with people again, like I would love to make a video that's on the same caliber as these like beautiful landscape photos that I've been taking. I want to take, the same kind of energy and, vibrancy and whatever it may be into video form. And so I partnered with another videographer. His name's Ian Tunney, and we made this Madison best city ever video, just kind of as a passion project. We wanted to make something that celebrated the city, but also I wanted something to be able to show to potential clients, tourism boards, whatever it may be, to show them what I was capable of, not only as a photographer, but as a director, as a cinematographer, as a producer, as an editor, etc. So I will share this video and hopefully it will work. Let's see.
Yeah, we tested it, so that means it won't. Hopefully it went fine. The test went fine yesterday.
So you have a director and what is a DP?
So DP is a director of photography. They're just the person in charge of whatever's being shot. So typically the roles can be divided up that you'll have a director, you'll have a director of photography. They're usually like pretty equal, or even on smaller productions, the same person. And then under the director of photography, you'll have all the camera operators. So although the camera operators might be doing the physical shooting, the director of photography, the DP, might be like looking at a monitor and be like, no, let's do this, let's do that, or determining whatever that creative look is going to be. So in this case, I was actually shooting a lot of it too. But my goal is to really become a director of photography or / director for larger productions. Okay. I think I'm sharing it. Can everyone see it?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So like I said, this is the first video that I made. This was made, I think we shot like 4 or 5 days and put this quickly together just to be able to show some appreciation for the city and drum up some excitement for potential clients.
Welcome to the highlights. Jump right in and show you outside. Right now we gonna live it up. Don't stop till you get enough. Feel it, work it, move it. This is how we do it. Live it, breathe it, lose it. Best day ever. Best day ever. Best day ever. Top down, black shades going yacht high. Rolex champagne, get them corks popping. Like basils, I'm feeling like $1 billion billions. Living large, I'm in charge, feeling luscious. Look, grab it, go and get it. This is how we do it. Hear it, see it, dream it. Best day ever. Best day ever. Best day ever. It can't get better. With me together. It's now and never. Best day ever. Best day ever. Best day ever.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Needed a little more energy, I think, though.
Yeah,
So yeah,
nicely
really,
done.
our first attempt at kind of, I mean, this video is just for fun, right? There's really no like goal or anything besides just creating an upbeat, fun, energetic video. So it was really just, I partnered with Ian. He was the FPV pilot. He was the one flying the drones that were doing all the swooping and stuff. And we made this piece. And yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions if anyone does. Otherwise, I can keep talking about.
There's a lot of editing.
A lot of
time
editing.
in editing.
So, I mean, yeah, I really wanted to make, I think the goals of this were like, we wanted to make the whole thing just very energetic, not focusing on UW, which I think is what receives the most attention in Madison. We wanted to focus on in different parts of the city that made it so great, but also like, we wanted to make this bigger than it was, but unfortunately we just didn't have the budget or time to kind of expand upon it. But fingers crossed, we might have that opportunity in the future.
What
Has
what
the
do you-
city or Chamber of Commerce or any of those people used this? Or they should be.
So no, the crazy thing is just no one's bit on this piece of work, and kind of disappointing that I've done stuff. I'm doing stuff now this year. Visit Milwaukee, Milwaukee's Tourism Board. I'm doing a large video for them. Destination Door County, I'm doing something for them. But Visit Madison, the Chamber of Commerce, they're still yet to sign on and chat about making a video like this.
Well, couldn't they just use it as stock the way it is for whatever fee that if they could afford it? I mean, if they could figure
Yeah,
out.
I mean, they could do that, but it hasn't even been entertained. It's been a big question mark.
Bizarre.
I've had a lot of yeah, I've been really confused. I've reached out to them a lot.
Okay.
What do you use for editing?
I use Premiere, so Adobe Premiere Pro for the editing, and then I color everything in DaVinci Resolve.
Okay.
Color it in what?
DaVinci Resolve. So it's another popular editor. It's free.
Yep.
But I don't know how to edit in it, but it has better ability to color video. So kind of how Lightroom works, just for video.
Did you buy the DaVinci controller? The thing
No, I didn't. Yeah, they have like I think maybe one day, but that's still something that's a piece of equipment I'm still scared to try to use.
Sam, can you talk about the difference in the drone, the first person perspective drone that you were using in that one versus what you were taking your photos with, and how they work?
Yeah, I can try to show you. Here's my drone. So the main difference is, so there's two main types of drones. There's like the normal type of drone that has like a gimbal on it. So a gimbal is just something that stabilizes the camera while you're moving, right? There's that type of drone, and those are the most popular type of drone, and the type of drone that I fly. And they look, I mean, this is the DJI Mavic Pro. It has a gimbal right here. It looks like this. It can fly straight, up, down, side to side, and then it'll be balanced on this gimbal here. And then for an FPV drone, an FPV stands for first person view. They're smaller, they're faster, and they're more nimble. They can do flips. They can do crazy maneuvers. Like you see, like he's diving. Ian was like diving down from the sky to catch those bikers on John Nolan Drive. They can go, some of the high end ones can go as fast as 100 miles per hour. So they're a lot more, there's a lot more risk when it comes to flying those. So that's why I defer to Ian, who's a bigger expert on those types of drones. But that's the main difference. You know, one is used for, I would say, typical cinematic movement, and the other one is more acrobatic.
And as far as how he is actually, so he's looking through virtual reality goggles, basically.
Yeah, he's looking through these. So he like puts them on, and he's seeing what the drone is seeing in first person view through these goggles.
Huh.
So I have all the equipment. I'm just not good at flying it. So that's why I have Ian.
You're
So-
probably very good at flying, but not as good as him, maybe.
I am like a 1-year-old learning to walk, and he is like he's like Usain Bolt sprinting. So that is how I would compare us. But yeah,
But hard to believe. Seeing what you've created already, it's hard to believe that you're just beginning. You look pretty accomplished to me.
yeah, and I mean, like the goal is and I have I have 2 more videos to show, but like the goal was to improve upon each one, right? So the next one I made was about Minneapolis, and we had seen we released the Madison one in July 2021, so now almost a year, nearing on a year. And that was something we wanted to make just quick to show people, hey, look what we can make. I think on social media, and again, I keep hammering social media because it's really what I kind of attribute my ability to succeed. I think in another world, I don't know if anyone would see my work, but on social media, it got around, I think, 400,000 views across platforms. And it generated a ton of new leads for clients, and it was super exciting. It was like the months following that was like the most successful time in my life at that to that point. And so I was super pumped on being able to make that type of content. I mean, I think I had found where I wanted to keep growing. I wanted to create those kind of travel not really travel videos, but more like celebration videos, and really like have kind of a peek into what a city or a community looks like. I think I was really excited by the promise of that. And so that's why coming into fall, I wanted to make a bigger video. And so I talked to another videographer that I knew from college. His name was Nation Stevenson, and he grew up in Minneapolis, just like in the city. And his parents still live there. So I reached out to him. I was like, hey, I really want to continue making these type of videos because I saw the success of what happened with the Madison video. Like, would you be interested? And I think he had the same enthusiasm for showcasing his city, the same I had for Madison. And so he was super excited to partner on this. So we went out and filmed like 6 days in October. And our goal was to do the same thing we did for Madison, but we wanted it to be about more relevant, obviously more relevant to the city of Minneapolis. And we wanted it to be more diverse. And I know at this time, like obviously we come back to what happened in Minneapolis with George Floyd. We wanted to like touch on that as well, but still keep it like a celebration of the city. We didn't want to like, I think a lot of the news that came out of Minneapolis after that, or a lot of the outsider's perspective of the city after that, was very negative. And I think Nations had a chip on our shoulder because of that and wanted to prove them wrong in a way through this video. And that's kind of what I wanted to do too. So that's what we were trying to attempt. Anyone see that?
Yes.
Yep.
It's a family affair on the south side. We gon' be here for the rest of the year. Let go! On the south side, cruising in a Honda, whipping with the windows down. What's up, Mr. Fred? Man, it's been a long summer, about to eat up at Dinkytown. The kitchen full of pictures, my papa did the dishes, and sand still burning now. Slide to the basement, my shit on city pages, like boy, you do the city proud. When I'm feeling low, music keep me high, doing every show, I just pray that they stick around. Ain't you get the news through a festival? They see what you do when a stranger comes to town. We was on the south side, cruising in a Honda, whipping with the windows down. Do this for the culture, an industry of vultures, been watching them circling around. We was on the south side, cruising in a Honda, whipping playing music loud. Do this for the culture until I'm in a coffin, even if my luck is out. I'm down on my luck, blame myself for every second, I ain't doing enough. Put my faith in certain people, they be holding me up. And I'm trying not to change, I'm hoping you do the same. We was on the south side, cruising in a Honda, whipping with the windows down. Do this for the culture, an industry of vultures, been watching neighbors circling around. We was on the south side, cruising in a Honda, whipping playing music loud. Do this for the culture, till I'm in a coffin, even if my luck is out. I bet they look their mama dead in the eye. Told her we would get rich. I want that age money, leather seat at 356. Fuck the slave money, 40 minimums in a tip. Keep that shade from me, I've been working hard to exist. We was on the south side, cruising in a Honda, we've been playing music loud. South side, south side, south sider. South side, south side, south sider. South side, south side, south sider.
So with
Both
that
our
was,
boys went to the U, and we've got a son who lives in Uptown, never left the city, and recognized a lot of places.
yeah, and that's really the goal. Like we wanted to show like, again, we're working on a tight schedule here. This is self-funded. We wanted to show as many people, businesses, actual like places people would recognize in this video as possible. And yeah, that was our goal, just to get the people of Minneapolis and anyone even not from the city to be excited about what that city had to offer.
Good stuff.
So did the city take any interest in it? Their marketing people then?
So I've since talked to Meet Minneapolis. I think that's their tourism board, and yeah, I mean, they've seen the video. Like this one did even big. This one went even bigger than the Madison one. I think across platforms it did over 500,000 views. Like a ton of really amazing support came from this. A lot of really cool conversations with organizations and businesses, and one conversation with Meet Minneapolis. I think at this time they don't really have the budget to, which I don't fully believe, but I think they don't really want to invest the time into to make a video like this, which is okay. I mean, there's a time for every organization to do that, but we have a project coming up for like Lake Street, that Nations, who directed this, he got from this video. And so a lot of cool stuff, when hopefully able to do more stuff related to the city.
So have you shown this one to the Madison people?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have like a contact, but I can only assume like so many people from the Chamber of Commerce, the president, he follows me, like he's seen it. I know Zach Brandon is his name.
Yeah. Yep.
I know he's seen it. So they're all seeing this. I know they're all seeing it.
The first Madison one is probably too energetic for them, but this one, it seems to me, this pace of this would be perfect for them.
Yeah, and we wanted to, again, I wrote here a more robust celebration video. We wanted to actually have some substance. I would say the Madison one is fun, but I think we could have used a little more substance behind it, and so that was the attempt here, to be able to hopefully get some clients from that.
Sam, I'm guessing you're familiar with the company that did there's a number of different areas that they've videoed, but the one that did the bowling alley shot where it was kind
Sky
of
Candy.
yeah,
Sky
that's who it
Candy
is, right?
And Jay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
it's some pretty amazing work.
they are amazing. I mean, that's like, I mean, some of this is like, we want to get the attention of those types of people too.
Mhm.
Jay, the guy who piloted the FPV drone for that bowling alley video that went
Bryant Lake Bowl.
so viral, like he's such an amazing pilot. The company that he works for, Sky Candy, they actually follow me as an outcome of this video, and I'm hoping to be able to work with them.
Cool.
But yeah, I mean, really, that's the goal. It's just to get more, I guess, accolades behind us in order to get cooler projects and work with even more talented people than us.
I'm sold.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I have one more I'll show, but that was, again, I wanted to keep the momentum going. I saw this excitement come from these videos and I wanted to keep going. So I wanted to think bigger. I think a lot of these we were filming in, again, the span of less than a week. And every time I was like, I wish we filmed more. I wish we had filmed more. And so I actually pitched this project to these two guys I helped out, Eric Wang and Ian Tunney. I was looking for, again, partners on this, and Ian has since helped on, he's helped on both prior videos. I was like, hey, let's like make a video that's even bigger. Let's work across the entire winter to try to capture different facets of life across Wisconsin, as well as we can. Even though I wanted to capture more, I still wish we had the opportunity to capture even more activities. There's so many cool things that we missed. Yeah, just another attempt to create a huge celebration video for an underappreciated season in my mind. Everyone see that?
Yeah.
You got that high beat, but out of control. It's that new feeling. You already know we're running west through the streets you were born to lead now. Gotta get down and feel alive. The roof's coming down tonight. One more just simple line, yeah. I'll make my own rules. Nothing will hold me back. Got time and got no plan. Then tell me where you at, 'cause I'll make my own rules. I'm going 96 in a 45. Gonna keep my number one. This record alive. I'm headed up to the fire in the sky. Summer heat now. Hey. Get down and feel alive. Roof's coming down tonight. One more just simple line, yeah. I'll make my own rules. Nothing will hold me back. Got time and got no plan. Then tell me where you at, 'cause I'll make my own rules.
Great.
Nice.
Yeah. So again, just our attempt. I wanted to go bigger. I felt we accomplished that. I still wish we got a bunch more. I think ice fishing was the biggest one. People were disappointed that wasn't
Bicycling.
I,
Yeah, like-
Bicycling, there you go.
doing it on the lake. Like there's so many activities we wanted to capture. There's so many events we wanted to capture. But ultimately, we just didn't have the time. I think I probably spent like $1,500, $2,000 in like travel and hotels and, of my own money trying to put this together. And so that was kind of like the stretching point for me on how much I wanted to put in. But a lot of good things came out of that. I mean, now looking to the future, I have some really cool projects set up, I think, from these 3 videos, and I'm really excited.
I do have to add that the young lady who was ice skating in that video, her last name is DeVries, and she is Janelle is her first name, and she is Mike DeVries' daughter,
Oh,
who
Yeah,
used
I
Capital
really,
Times.
I really like that shot above on the ice
Mhm,
of her. I mean, that
Everything.
a lot of great shots in there, but that one really stood out for me.
Yeah, for sure.
Did he actually fly the drone underneath the rail as the guy was going over it? Is that
So
that?
Ian was piloting that, and that was something we had been like filming. We had filmed a couple different takes. I was like, "Ooh, what if you fly under while he goes over?" And then I filmed the one where she's spinning from overhead. That was with my regular drone. So yeah, appreciate it.
And do you have to shut down the whole? I assume the ski hill or that one run at least,
Yeah,
right? While you're there.
I mean, super cool outcome of this is like, I am producing these videos, right? I'm reaching out to businesses. I'm reaching out to people trying to find a way to put this all together. We went to Devil's Head Resort in Baraboo, and they were super accommodating. I was like, can we film something at your resort? They had the guy skiing was the head of marketing for them, I think. And so he skied for us. He brought 2 other friends, and they were featured in the video. And then they shut down the terrain park for us to film for a half day. So that was really cool. A lot of cool things like the American Burkabeener. They let me come and film and fly my drone, and super cool of them as well. And of course, all the other people that volunteered to help out.
So is the Berkey or Devil's Head interested in purchasing any parts of what you created though?
the Berkey. So this is like the issue that we always run into, right? The Berkey, we had a spoken word agreement that I was like, they're like, oh yeah, we'll let you come film. And I was like, yeah, and then you're more than welcome to license the footage if you want any. And they're like, we definitely will. And then things just fell out and they didn't. But I mean, that's just how I feel it works sometimes. So I'm not too heartbroken over that.
You were gonna let them use it for free?
I was going to let them use it, and I was like, if you would like to license some of the footage as well, you can. But then they never shared the video either, which they had said they were going to.
Wow.
You need to charge more. If you charge more, they'd want it.
Yeah, and I mean no hard feelings over that. I think that's again what these videos were to just show what we could do. I wasn't necessarily going into them expecting any money from the people that were helping out. But again, really cool projects will come from this. Again, talking with Visit Milwaukee, they want working on them with a project that's we're going to show downtown, of course, all the activities on the waterfront in one video, but then they also want a video that goes into a lot of the outlying neighborhoods that I think get a lot less love, and they want to make a video about the businesses and people in those neighborhoods. So that's something I'm really looking forward to and being able to shine some light into.
Wow. So when I went on strike in '77, Tom Kelly was also a staff photographer, went on strike. He ended up becoming the communications director for Telemark and putting on the Berkey and the World Lumberjack Championships. And I shot that stuff for 3 years. But he then became the vice president of communications for the U.S. Olympic ski team. Lives in Park City, Utah now. And he's now retired from there after like 10 Olympics. And he knows a ton of people. And his wife Carol's from Hayward. And we keep trying to get him to come to see this, and he's just too busy apparently now. He's busier than when he was at the Olympic team, but I got to make sure he gets in contact and sees this video. And I suspect there's a bunch of ideas he'd have for you as well, and potential contacts. And
that'd be amazing. I mean, yeah. That's why when Steve reached out, I'm excited to talk about people that are in the industry. We're in the industry because I'm just starting out. This is, again, I'm as far as like professional, like I think the videos that I'm proud of, I think it's just happening in the past couple of years that I'm really proud of the work that I'm starting to put out. And so I'm really in the infancy, I think, of what I'm trying to achieve here. So yeah, anything like that is immensely helpful.
Sam, I wanted to ask you about music and copyright. How is that working when you're using we heard at least three pieces that I would assume all were copyrighted. How does that work?
Yeah, so the Madison and the Winter in Wisconsin one, those are just from a royalty-free music website. So pay a subscription. I think it's like 200 a month, and then you pay for a subscription of this giant library of music that you can use for anything except broadcast purposes, right? So digital, social, all fair game for those. And then the Minneapolis one, Nations, the director that I worked with, he made a really big sticking point about wanting to use a local artist. So we had a local artist. He had a song about the south side of Minneapolis. So we used that and worked with him and his what do you call it? Album? Whatever, maybe the company that he works with, we worked with them to be able to use that in our video.
So I'm curious, when you select rap music, not everybody embraces rap music. I'm just curious when you're marketing these things, can you offer, or are you so married to your sequencing seems so perfect so many times? But if somebody said, yeah, we'd like that, but can we change the music? What would you say, or can you do anything?
Yeah, I mean, retroactively, I'm not too sure about what I'd be willing to do. Like if, for example, Madison was to finally reach out and say, hey, we like this video, we just want to change the music. I think it'd be a question of like what they're willing to pay for a different, like basically we'd have to edit entirely different, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about a different edit. As far as like, if I'm working on it.
That's what I was afraid of. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely like possibly something that pulls people away, right? But I think what I'm the reason why we aren't going, I guess, the safer route and choosing just like an instrumental is because we want to have like this, I feel, a revolution in how these videos kind of look. I mean, you look at the really big names in Wisconsin tourism. So we think of Travel Wisconsin, for example. Like the stuff they make is all looks pretty similar. It's pretty, I would call it cookie cutter in terms of content. And so I really want to work on a new way to approach that type of video work. And so when I'm doing stuff for Visit Milwaukee, I'm going to assume they're going to want to use maybe a more safe option, which I'm fine for. But I'm always going to be trying to do my own thing, put my own flair on these passion projects that I have. I want to show what I can do, and I don't really want to conform, I guess, to what I think the client exactly wants.
Sam, there's a brand new person in communications at the State Tourism Bureau who was at Taliesin heading communications for several years. And maybe a contact, I can email you or I can give it to you now if you want to write it down.
Yeah, no, Mike, I would love to. Why don't we? I mean, I'm definitely going to reach out to Bruce, you too. I would love to talk with you guys over email and chit chat. We can definitely do that. That'd be immensely helpful.
I can send out your email address if that's
Okay.
okay to the group.
Yeah.
Sam.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll go ahead and take care of that. Well,
Sam, I wanted to ask if you are you selling still photos? Some of your drone shots, for example, of downtown Madison, simply spectacular. I remember the first time I saw it, I could not believe my eyes. You were out at a strange hour, and it was freaking magic. And I'm curious if you have. Is there a photo that you have sold the most of? What that might be, if you could even show?
Yeah, I could see. Yeah, so I mean, as far as like licensing photos and selling prints and whatnot, like that's something I've definitely leaned into. That was something in the pandemic that I really built up as I was taking all those pictures of Wisconsin, Minnesota, Illinois. Like those are things I definitely wanted to make sure I was taking advantage of, selling prints and licensing photos. So I do that a lot for businesses. As far as the most popular one, I'm happy to show some more. But yeah, I mean, that's the reason why I'm so active on social media, is a lot and trying to sell those prints, and those help fund these video projects, fund my work, motivate me to go out and shoot, and then also just get clients for video work. Share my screen again. Trying to see. So if we go back, if you could let me know, like this photo, I think was really popular. This one across Lake Monona that I went out.
Wow.
As well as, yeah, like these, just like, again, I lived in 2019, I lived blocks away from the Capitol, which is my defense for why I have so many Capitol photos in my on my social media. But this is like a super popular one. Of course, the rainbow one that you guys saw earlier. This one in the Apostle Islands. I went camping with friends. And just went out, and I didn't even know the Milky Way was going to be this visible. So I stayed up late and just captured some of that.
But the Milky Way, that's just a straight shot, no dodging and burning and stuff?
There's some dodging and burning, but yeah, I mean, out of camera itself was like, it was insane. I had never seen the Milky Way that clearly before in my life. And so when I went out to just take a walk at night, I was blown away by how clear it was.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Appleton, Wisconsin.
Okay.
This one is probably my most, and you saw a different version of this. I edited differently a couple years later. But this is like, and this was taken in February 2019. This is like really one of my first pieces first photos that like really took off in terms of number of views on social media. And to this day is one of my more popular ones.
Well, I think it's probably the best ever. So how many have you sold, maybe?
Gosh, of this, like, I mean, I would say like maybe even like 100 of this print itself I've probably sold. And like, I'd have to look at my metrics, which maybe I can look at, but like I probably sell maybe like 1,000, around 1,000.
Cool.
So it's something that I've really like really embraced. Like I made the website to have it perform really well so that people would be willing to buy prints. I like really optimize it, etc., just to kind of take advantage of the popularity of my photography.
I've got to cut out, but thank you. We'll be in touch. Enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Take care,
Take
Mark.
care.
Well, Sam, I think you've got a bunch of people impressed with what you've done, and we're all looking forward to what you're going to
For
be
sure.
doing.
Yeah.
Great to hear. The last thing I wanted was people to hate what I had to show. So
Yeah, looks good. Really good.
Yeah, for
Steve,
7 years on, that's
Steve,
crazy.
Steve, I think that we're going to all say someday we knew Sam when he was just beginning.
Yes.
What do you think?
We knew him when.
Yeah,
Yep.
save this recording.
I know that guy. I do want to point out, I was going to show it to you, but I'll save you guys the hassle. But I have a shot of the Capitol, not from the dramatic lighting that Sam has it, but it's that same angle. And I have somebody did a snow angel right on one of the sidewalks there, and so that's something that Sam doesn't even have. So if you'd like to license that, Sam, just let me know. You can give me an email.
sounds good. Sounds good.
I've flown around the Capitol a couple times, not anywhere near what Sam's done, but timing wise, I know Sam's missed a lot of sleep at the beginning and the end of the day, staying up late and getting up early, and I'm not that interested in doing that. So I'm glad that somebody's doing it. So Sam, I'm glad you're taking advantage of
Even
the
now,
early
I'm
light.
slowing down. I can hardly do that anymore. Like now that especially like, yeah, I don't know if you guys follow Kenton Fowler. He's
Yeah.
I don't understand how he's out every sunset, every sunrise. I see his photos. I'm like, oh my God, that looked beautiful.
Yeah,
I wish I was
he's
there.
good.
Have you met him?
Yeah, I've met him probably like 5 times over. Just sometimes just running into him. Sometimes he'll let me know that the moon might look particularly great at this moment. So
Yeah, no, he's really sweet, really nice guy.
yeah, he's an awesome guy, and I really admire his work as well.
Yeah, we should maybe have him on sometime. That'd be interesting.
He would be good. I'm sure you'd enjoy that actually.
The question I had for you, Sam, have you ever thought about trying to fly around inside the Capitol?
That's
something we wanted. So I will say, when it comes to like interior drone stuff, larger, again, you see this stuff in larger markets, and then I really want to keep applying it to what's near and dear to my heart, which is Wisconsin. Like, for example, Chicago, they just had an FPV drone flight in the United Center where the Bulls play, right? And so they were zipping around the arena. And now I'm doing this stuff at Visit Milwaukee. I'm like, hey, you should let us film in the Pfizer. And I think the way that I can convince them is show them the Bulls content and be like, look what they're doing. We can do the same thing.
There you go.
Even
Yeah.
better. And so you that's something I definitely want to do more of. Interior of the Capitol, like I would love to do that too. That might be a little harder to gain access to. But hey, why not?
Yeah.
They're definitely
I'm
want to check
always trying to like I see these things, and I want to replicate them. I want to make them even better, and that's something I think I've always been trying to do throughout my career.
One of the
Is there a
Madison.
low light?
Oh, good.
Can you get low light Can you shoot in low light?
Not great with the interior ones. So you see like the bowling alley was actually pretty low light. I mean, that Minneapolis video was, if you ever, for anyone who hasn't seen it, look it up after this, but that was pretty low light and that looked pretty good. But that's like pushing the limits, I think, because those are filmed on GoPros because they're such small drones. So not like great low light, but it can happen for sure.
And what's the brand of your camera, your drone?
So the drone I use, I fly all DJI drones. Yeah.
And that little one you showed us earlier, was that the 3?
Yeah. So this is the 3, this one right here. And then DJI has branched into the FPV space. And so this is the DJI FPV drone. If you don't have a drone, I would recommend don't buy this one, buy the Mavic. The Mavic series is what I always recommend to anyone trying to get into drones. They fold up, they can fit in a backpack, or you can just carry it in your hand. And it's a great piece of equipment to just have.
How big a prints have you made from the drone images?
From the drone images, gosh, I don't know exactly how big I've gotten them. I will say with like I've never gotten any complaints. Like I sell 24 by 36 inch ones or 32 by 48 inch ones, and I've never gotten a complaint about like the quality suffering. I think I had that capital shot at dusk that I showed you guys earlier. I think that one's pretty big in one of the new apartment complexes on West Wash, but I don't know the dimensions of that, but it's bigger than 32 by 48. It looks good.
And with the software out there now, I mean, it's amazing what you can do.
Yeah, I think now I'm trying to find this person. I just worked with Baker Tilly, and they bought a photo and printed it out on a whole. Here, I'll share my screen again. They printed out. This is taken on my
Holy cow.
my Sony, but they took up a whole wall at their office, and I can only assume they used some sort of AI software to blow it up to that size, but
Sweet.
apparently it looks great.
So do you start off with a raw file and or high-end JPEG, or?
Whenever I'm doing this type of work, I'm only shooting in RAW. I'll shoot JPEG only if it's like quick turnaround or if the client requests it.
Yeah, I have I've got a Sony a6300. I shoot both at the same time. So it's kind of nice to have both to choose from. But I was going to say an idea for him. I don't know if anybody's ever done this. You know, you're talking about the basketball being inside buildings, but if you could do a basketball game and you get a small enough drone, you could fly right through the hoop.
Yeah, the Bulls, again, the Bulls are doing all this amazing innovative stuff with drones, and I think the Bucks need to pick up on it.
And you're the guy to do it.
I think I need to pitch that I'm the guy to do it. Yeah. I have a couple creatives that I know in Chicago that are running all of that in Chicago. They're doing all the content for the Bulls, and it looks amazing, and I'm immensely jealous.
That'll I don't think you're going to get a lot of competition from any of us. So you're free and clear in that as far as that goes. But yeah, there's a lot of potential. I think you're going to see it's interesting how much drone photography has developed, especially with a lot of the rules and regulations that the FAA is kind of coming out with. And you know, there's so many drones out there, and I think drone operators are kind of their own worst enemies because they're flying in places they're not supposed to be, or creating issues, and then we have to have new laws and regulations and things like that. But in some ways, like you had mentioned, the flight plan, or the flight profile that you're going to be doing is pretty amazing. That because back in the beginning days, it was just kind of the Wild West. Anybody can kind of do whatever, and So they're kind of getting now, drones are going to have to ID themselves and things like that. So
Yeah, like you say that with, you say that a lot of people are kind of going rogue and doing the other thing, and that's kind of, I feel like the grumpy old person now. I see people doing that, and I'll message them and be like, hey, you're not supposed to do that. I'm like,
right.
that's so illegal. That's going to ruin it for everyone else. And I'm not going to name any names, but it's just like, it's infuriating to see that over and over again, because it does make the landscape even harder for the people that are trying to follow the rules.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you know Mickey Keenitz at all?
No, that name does not ring a bell.
Well, there's an Iceland show, which unfortunately I haven't seen yet, at Capitol Lakes, that I think comes down tomorrow. But he's been there multiple times. He had an exhibit at the Chazen years ago. And he's been flying drones since they first came out. He lost one in the Amazon jungles when he was shooting for one of the chocolatiers in Madison.
Wow.
You can imagine the native that found that one, what they thought, if anybody ever did. But yeah, Mickey's got a lot of contacts all over the place as well. And he's flown a lot of drone ship. But he's an interesting guy. You'd enjoy meeting him, I suspect.
Wow.
So I'm gonna duck out of here, but thank you very much for your time. It was really interesting, and
Thanks, Keith. Thanks for joining us.
I have heard of you and seen some of your work, so it's just great to actually listen to your perspective. So thank you.
Appreciate it, Keith.
Yep.
And actually, I'll just do a quick little thank you for Sam for joining us, and for people that are interested in coming to the next meeting, shoot me an email. It's going to be on May 27th, and hopefully it'll be a little warmer then, and we'll be able to get outside and enjoy the drone flying a little bit more. But thanks again, Sam, for joining us. It's been very, very interesting meeting you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Sam.
so much. And yeah, definitely would love to. I mean, I'm always looking to talk to more people. So reach out to me, Steve. Definitely share my email, or reach out to me on social media. Happy to chat. Happy to talk. Answer any other drone questions.
See ya.
And I also have a contact for you at the Bucks. My best friend, his